What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Blazers Uprise Live. We took last week off, but we're back again this week and for every week throughout the entirety of this 2021-2022 season. So we're going to ramp things up in the month of September. We're only about 1 month away from having Blazers basketball on our doorstep. Hopefully you guys are having a good night. We took last week off. It didn't end up being a full week off as the Blazers finally made a trade in the 2021 offseason, and that was for Nance Jr. Tonight, I kind of want to discuss potential lineups and just take some questions and just kind of wing it. The month of September is going to be pretty loose because there's really no news to talk about unless the Blazers make another trade. So it's going to be some season preview stuff and just talking with you, chat. It's kind of the best time of the year to just consistently engage with you guys a couple times a week. So that is the plan. Eric, how'd you enjoy your week off?
Well, it wasn't too bad. It was nice to have it disrupted by a positive, newsworthy reason for having to stream. Especially since I called that happening during our week off. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of missed you guys too, though.
Yeah, the Blazers Uprise Live crew. Appreciate y'all that tune in over here on our second channel. Little couple side notes. Video content going to start up September 1st. I'm planning on dropping the schedule breakdown on September 1st. I've enjoyed my week off. Okay, let's just say that. All right, haven't done anything video-wise or pretty much anything at all YouTube-wise during the week off outside of, working with Eric because we got the website launching, or at least the written content section of the website launching about a week from now. If you don't know about that, September 6th, we're going to be launching written content on the website, blazersuprise.com. But I enjoyed the week off for the most part, but we'll get content out start of September. And then the other thing, I completely forgot. I don't remember the other thing. But we will be live on Sunday. I'm going to go live right here on the second channel with my fantasy football draft. So if you're into football or fantasies or both, then you can tune in for that live stream on Sunday. We'll be going live around... we'll be going live around 8 p.m. Next Sunday. The plan is to get Jackson and Jared, who are in my fantasy football league, on the stream as well. So that'll just be a little something fun, a little something different. I'm completely forgetting the other thing.
Was it the merch?
It was not the merch, but merch right after the website launches is the plan right now. So September 6th to September 15th. I don't have an exact date. Maybe it'll surprise you. Maybe the only way you'll find out is if you actually go to our website to read some written content. Actually, I'll announce it. But I'll announce it. I'll keep you guys noted with that. But tentative date, September 6th to September 15th. I'm completely forgetting the other thing. But, oh well. Eric, outside of talking about lineups, is there anything you want to talk about tonight?
Yeah, there was a article on The Athletic by Shams today, or wherever he's through, and there was a couple Blazer snippets that I think we should discuss as well.
You want to start with that? You want to just
Sure.
dive in deep? Let's do it.
Yeah. So the first was just on a side note that the Blazers are still building their team around Damien Lillard, and that has not changed.
I mean,
we're still. I mean, we could have told you that, but yeah. So, but that was a national media person saying that we have no intention of trading him, and so hopefully that kind of quiets some of those, but we know it won't. And the other interesting snippet was that apparently we tried to acquire Dylan Brooks before trading for Larry Nance.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the extent of that was. I'm assuming we're trying to give up the same package, basically.
Yeah. Which I don't know why Memphis takes that. Yeah. I don't know why Memphis would take that. I would rather have Larry Nance Jr. on this team than Dylan Brooks, given the position we needed a backup for. Mm-hmm. And I like Larry Nance. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league. I think he's better than Dylan Brooks. I think he's better than Dillon Brooks. So I'm happy with the trade. I'm happy that we got Larry Nance Jr., not Dillon Brooks.
Yeah, I agree with what our needs were. I think, especially since we have the 3-guard lineup still, I don't think making a trade for Dillon Brooks makes sense unless there's something else in the book still or in the works, which would make it make sense. But
I can't imagine that, though.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that way, but I don't know why we'd be pursuing Brooks, though, otherwise, because, I mean, I guess he could be the backup 3, but I don't know. Just seems kind of weird.
I mean, honestly, at this point, here's the thing, and I don't want to get into this until we're there, but, like, some backup 3 minutes, I think, have been taken by us trading for Larry Nance Jr., because I think we have the center minutes taken care of with Nurkic and Zeller. I think Rocco and Nance, they're not just going to only play 4 and split it 24 minutes a game apiece. They're both going to play more than that, which means one of them will be playing some 3. So, I mean, you already have Norm playing a lot of 3, and you have Nas, and you brought in Tony Snell. I don't see them. I don't know why they would want a backup 3 at this point. And I don't see them going after that. And here's the thing. It's Shams, so it's trustworthy, but still, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. I don't know. Dillon Brooks, I don't know how he would fit in on this team.
That's like the Aaron Gordon before we traded for Rocco thing last year.
Yeah, which I'd rather have Rocco, and I'd rather have Larry Nance Jr. than Aaron Gordon. Shout out CH Sports, $5 donut. You guys understand the salary cap situation much more than just about anybody. How does the Nance deal affect our MLE? Thanks for the content, fellas. Appreciate the dono.
The Larry Nance Jr. signing trade does not affect the MLE. We have the same amounts that we did before the trade, so we still have about $5 million to offer a free agent if we wanted to. But at this point, there's not really a lot of scenarios that make sense for using the MLE unless...
I have only one name. Can you guess who it is?
On the market right now?
Or yes, on the free agent market right now. On the free agent market right now. Chat, guess who the one guy that I'd be okay with using our MLE on
Dennis
at
Smith
this point?
Jr.
Dennis Smith. Bro, you're trolling. You're trolling. I wanted a legitimate guess. I want to see if anybody in chat is big brain enough to think along the same wavelength as me. But it's not a big. It's not a big.
Yeah.
Is that do you have a legitimate guess?
No, I'm guessing Krish got it right.
Yes, Krish did get it right. Good job, Krish. Shout out to Krish. Not only does he kill graphics, he's also a basketball mind. Yeah, James Ennis would be the only guy I would even look at with that. Like, if we really want a backup 3, James Ennis shot 43% from 3 last year and is probably a little better defender than Tony Snell. I think I don't know, his shooting isn't as trustworthy as Tony Snell, but he shot 43% last year, and he's a good defender and a really good glue guy. So if they're really looking to add another small forward type, then that's the only guy I'd be willing to even look at using the MLE on, because Millsap was a target, but now we filled the backup 4. Now I don't care for Millsap. Aldridge, I don't care for Aldridge. I don't want to play him over Zeller or definitely not Nance. Although I would be more okay with Aldridge being our backup center next to Larry Nance Jr., because Larry Nance Jr. is such a good defender, but I feel like we just need glue guys that can play a role, and we don't necessarily need a LaMarcus Aldridge off the bench as the backup center, and then all his concerns, and he hasn't even announced that he's coming back yet. So Avery Bradley is very meh, and I feel like we don't need a guard. So James Ennis is kind of the only target out there that's a little bit intriguing to me for the mid-level exception. You can come up with other names, like somebody says Michael Beasley. He can be had on a minimum contract. You don't have to use your MLE on a Michael Beasley.
Well, at this point, is there really anyone you have to use your MLE on?
Well, yeah, and that's part of the point. But James Ennis might be one of those guys who probably could have a lot of minimum contract offers, but is holding out for maybe one of the teams with their MLEs left to use it on him.
Yeah, maybe.
So,
yeah, that's... See, with Aldridge and I put Kevin Love in the same category if he gets bought out, those guys aren't going to accept being third string. And like you said, I don't want them playing over anyone that we currently have in our 4 or 5 rotation. So, yeah, it's just frustrating because if we do sign one of those guys, they will for sure expect to be. I mean, Aldridge might even expect to start if we sign him, like, and I don't really want those kind of players. I want a player that's good or potentially could fill in, but doesn't necessarily demand that you give him touches or minutes or whatever.
Yeah. So is there anything else from Shams regarding the Blazers that you wanted to touch
upon? No, but real quick while that question is fresh, so we saw it with the Rondo thing today. He's signing with the Lakers. And when he got bought out, they had offset language in his contract. So the Grizzlies had got to pay him less than they would have had he not signed with the team or whatever. So he's making the same amount that he would have made had he stayed in Memphis. So when people say, like, oh, we're saving their MLE for the buyout market or whatever, that sometimes can work, especially if you sign a guy for multiple years. But in terms of just signing a guy off the buyout market for this season, a lot of those players, it doesn't matter if they sign for the minimum or for the MLE, so they're just going to go to the best situation for them. It doesn't really give them extra money if they sign there.
Yeah. Yep. So everybody's like, save the MLE for a buyout candidate. Likely not going to make a difference at all. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I just think honestly, at this point, I just think we don't use it because we have no need to, which is kind of crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I wish we could have gotten Otto Porter Jr. for the mid-level exception. I mean, imagine if he was the backup 3 and you had him and Nance off the bench behind Norman Powell and Robert Covington. I mean, that'd just be like some of our favorite forward targets, just like in the past year, we just throw them all together. I mean, I don't know, man. I wanted Covington. We got him. I wanted Larry Nance Jr. We got him. On a forum like 3 days before the trade happened, I was literally saying, please just give me Derrick Jones Jr. and a first-round pick for Larry Nance Jr. It happened. I don't know. Like, I'm on a little bit of a roll. I called the last 2 trades, kind of. I called the Norman Powell one, and then the Larry Nance Jr. one I didn't really call, but that was like, if I had to guess, I probably would have guessed Larry Nance Jr. Now I see it. So maybe I'm the trade whisperer. I don't know. Anyway, I got a little sidetracked there by pumping myself up. So nothing else.
You missed a trade, though. We did technically trade for Greg Brown.
I said we'd buy into the 40s somewhere. So there you go. Trying to rain on my parade, man. Anything else? You said no?
That was it for like the Blazer stuff.
Chris, I've been yelling Siakam, man. I've been yelling Siakam. See, maybe I needed to whisper Siakam and it would have happened. I wish I could manifest Siakam to Portland. Here's the thing. You call out a lot of trades and you're bound to get, something right. So, it's all jokes.
Exactly.
But, okay, let's talk lineups. I saw somebody in chat say earlier that Jason Quick says the Blazers depth chart has Tony Snell ahead of Nasir Little. If you had to choose, which one of those guys would be the backup small forward going into next year?
Who were my choices?
Tony Snell, Nasir Little.
I would give Nas first shot, unless he's just really bad in training camp or whatever. But I for sure would give Nas the first crack, and I think he's going to run with it. But we need him to take a step up that significantly changes the ceiling of this team if he has a third-year breakout. So I would for sure put my resources into hoping that he succeeds first. And then if he's struggling or whatever, then of course go to Snell. But I think you have to give the upside a chance first.
Yeah, especially next to Larry Nance Jr., who's a good passing four, and you have Cody Zeller, who's a good passing backup center. I want a lethal cutter playing off those guys. I want Nasir Little as a mover offensively in the half court, as a cutter, as a transition threat. And also a guy that I think has the skill to be able to knock down the three-point shot at a high enough clip to be able to space the floor. And I feel like we'll take a jump next season defensively in a better defensive structure than he ever had under Terry Stotts. So the upside is there, and you got to go for upside if you're the Portland Trail Blazers, if you're gunning for contention. You have to find ways to raise the ceiling as much as possible. And some people say the only way you can raise the ceiling is if you get rid of CJ McCollum for an all-star forward. And I understand that argument. I'm not, pointing it out to argue against it, even though I feel a little bit differently. Point being is, in some sort of way, for the Portland Trail Blazers, you have to figure out how to raise the ceiling to a contention level status. Doesn't mean they'll end up being contenders. You're just giving yourself the chance, and you're giving yourself the room to grow to that level. There's more room to grow to that level, and you're raising your ceiling by playing more of a wild card as the backup three compared to Tony Snell, who is just super, super safe. So I think you have to play Nas, because the best case scenario for Nas is he's better than Tony Snell has any chance of being. And sure, he might end up being worse. He might not end up being as reliable as Tony Snell would be. But you have to go for the best case scenario, and you have to make that best case scenario for the team as good as possible. And the only way that happens is playing Nasir Little. And I also just think that his skill set would mesh well with Larry Nance Jr. at the 4 and Cody Zeller at the 5.
And I'm going to bring up a name. He's actually having a good summer. But Aaron Fentress is starting to become decent. But anyways, he had an article about he had a sit down with Chauncey, and pretty in depth. But he happened to mention that he thinks they brought in players like Snell and McLemore because they want Simons to succeed in the second unit as the point guard. And you might see a little less of CJ in the second unit this year, and just surround Simons with shooters and see how that goes.
But how does that make any sense okay? Sorry if I cut you off. Do you have anything else to say on that?
That's what the article mentioned that they were trying to do with bringing in players like McLemore and Snell. I don't know if they will play or not, but I mean, technically you could play all three of them, but now that we traded for Nance, someone has to play. I'm assuming McLemore is the first one out, but then I guess you could still play Snell if you didn't run CJ with the second unit, but then that also makes it tough to get the minutes for the three guards or whatever. I don't know.
Well, yeah, how are you giving Anthony Simons enough minutes to succeed if you're not playing him a lot at backup shooting guard? Yeah. Because Dame's still... Dame should still be getting 35 minutes a game.
Mm-hmm.
If you're only playing Simons at backup point guard, he's only playing 13 minutes a game. You have to give him at least 20.
I don't think they meant they were only play him there. I think they were saying that they want him to try and run the second unit for the times he's the second unit is in when Dame is out. But
oh, yeah. But I just, if you have Dame and CJ off the court at the same time, there's just less minutes available for Simons.
Yeah.
The more that Dame and CJ are out of the game at the same time, the less minutes are available for Anthony Simons.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more somebody else has to play backup shooting guard, compared to if you just stagger Dame and CJ and Anthony Simons is the third guard next to them at all times. So that's the thing. It's if you're playing Dame 35 minutes a game and you're playing CJ 33 minutes a game and they're sitting at the same time for 8 minutes a game, the most you can play Anthony Simons is 20 minutes per game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's with Dame and CJ getting a minutes cut and only sitting at the same time for 8 minutes, which is 4 minutes a half.
Unless
you know what I mean? So
it's 3 summer. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's 20 minutes per game. I feel like Anthony should be playing 25 minutes a game next year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the issue. Is if that's the plan, how are you going to make that work while giving Anthony Simons enough minutes without drastically cutting Dame or CJ's minutes? I just don't see how that ends up working. And we haven't... That's maybe one reservation that I have with Chauncey going into this year is how does he balance minutes? Because we can talk... I love his philosophy, the ideas he's going into next season with. I think he'll be able to hold players accountable. But something that I don't know about is he going to be able to manage minutes properly and get guys the minutes they deserve, the minutes they should be playing. So that's kind of something where I'm going into next season. Is Hanford going to play 15 minutes per game and then you're going to play Snell more? That's not how the team is going to reach its ceiling. That whole, tangent that I went on earlier, you got to try and maximize the ceiling. The way they maximize their ceiling is if Anthony Simons plays 25 minutes per game and breaks out into potentially a top 10 sixth man of the year, which I think he has the potential to do. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of my issue with that whole thought process going into next season.
Yeah, maybe they're just... if it succeeds, though, you could drastically reduce Dame and CJ's minutes. I think they're trying to find a way to play them a little less. A little less, but how much less? With also, making them so they have more effort on defense. But, yeah, I don't know.
That's what, 35 for Dame and 33 for CJ? Mm-hmm. Or less than that. Because if you're going down to Dame playing, 33 minutes a game and CJ playing 30... I think that reduces our likelihood of winning on a night-in, night-out basis.
Unless Simons just has, a huge step forward, but yeah.
Yeah, but, if he has that huge step forward, then he should be playing, 30 minutes a game.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the thing, is I just don't see any way where Simons shouldn't be getting basically all the backup guard minutes at the 1 and the 2. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of my... you don't have room for Macklemore. How do you have room for Macklemore and Snell? You know what I'm saying? Right. I don't understand what the rotation is going to look like next year. I think 3-guard lineup with Dame, CJ, and Simons. You have Norm as the starting 3. You have Nas playing some backup 3. Here's the thing, though, is, if you have a 3-guard lineup with Dame, CJ, and Simons... and you have Norm playing, 32 minutes per game as the starting 3. That only leaves 16 minutes per game at the backup 3. And then you get into, is Rocco going to play next to Nance at all? Because in that case, that's eating into more minutes at the 3. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that?
Alex is saying he's having a hard time hearing me now. I don't know.
I turned down your volume in my mic. I don't know if that turns down the volume on the stream. But people are complaining about hearing you through my headphones, which has never been a thing before. So I don't know if it's on with my mic or if it's just I turned you down for that.
It's
because we had this whole discussion last week.
We sound just fine. Okay. Yeah. The thing is, I'm pretty excited about having depth, much like last year. I think Dame going down, we're screwed. As long as both of our centers don't go down at the same time, I think we can pretty much handle any kind of situation or injury or whatever, and it'll be much like last year where we're fine if Damon or if CJ goes down for 25 games or whatever. So, yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know why those Macklemore would play. I don't think he's going to play right off the bat. But at the same time, we've always talked about holding players accountable, and one way to do that is to play the players who are deserving the most of playing time, not based on their status or their legacy or whatever. So, or how many minutes you promised them when they signed, all that stuff. So I'm all for open competition, and if someone like Macklemore beats out Nas for minutes or something, that is more of an indictment on Nas, I think, than it is to the way it's handled, because I think that I like that kind of philosophy in my mind, is just play whoever's playing the best. But from everything I've seen of these players in the past, it's hard to find minutes for some of the new players.
Yeah, let's do an exercise. All right, this sounds like a class. I want to know, going into next season, just on average, how many minutes per game you would be playing each one of these guys, and I want chat to answer as well for all these guys. I'm going to log things down, and we're just going to go player by player, all right? First, Damien Lillard. Eric, how many minutes per game would you plan on giving him heading into next season?
Man, I would love about 35.
35?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right where I'm at. Chat, let me know how many minutes per game you'd be planning on Damien Lillard. Basically, I just want to do this with with Lillard, McCollum, Powell, Nance, Rocco, and Simons, and see how many minutes are left over, which would be back up 3 minutes. So that's kind of why I'm doing this exercise. Because I assume center minutes aren't going to affect this. You're going to have Nurkic and Zeller for the most part. So it seems like chat is in agreement at about 35 minutes per game. This next one's going to be interesting.
Except for Alex Wolf said 5 minutes, and Sebastian said 15. Don't know why people are trolling.
Good old trolls.
CJ 50.
It's 50. Every minute, every second, including overtime. So that's how you'd get there. This one's going to be interesting to see. CJ McCollum, how many minutes would you plan on giving him?
Honestly, I'd like his minutes to be around 32.
Okay. I'm going to say 33. I'm tempted to go 34, because here's the thing. Don't we want his trade value to be as good as possible, as high as possible?
But we also want him to be efficient and have a lot of energy for defense.
True. So I'm going to go 33.
Okay.
Where does it look like chat is?
They're in that 33-34 range.
Okay, I'm going to put 33 for chat.
The thing is, if he plays well, I don't know if we trade him.
Yeah, that's also true. That's also true. I just want to see how many minutes are left over. Norman Powell, how many minutes would you plan on playing him, Eric?
32 as well.
Yeah. I'm gonna say 30. I'm gonna say 31. Because he's tasked. I don't know. He's tasked with the hardest defensive matchup on the perimeter, so you kind of want him to have a bunch of energy. So a couple minutes less than CJ for me makes sense, but kind of 31 to 33 range makes sense. Let's see what chat is saying. I see a lot of 30s. All right,
30,
chat.
31, yeah.
Yeah, chat I think is going with 30. I see a lot of 30s in chat. So there you go. All right, Larry Nance Jr. Eric.
Going
How
to the
many
bench
minutes
already.
for him? Yeah, we're doing I actually just Rocco. Let's do Rocco first.
Okay.
Robert Covington, how many minutes you playing him?
28.
Okay. I'm going to say 29. Which, 28, 29, not a big difference whatsoever.
There's a lot of 28s, a few 29s, some 34s.
See a lot of 28s there. There's 5 28s in a row. So 28 for chat for Robert Covington. Now, Larry Nance Jr., how many minutes per game are you playing him?
I'd say 28 as well.
Okay, I'm also going to say 29 matches minutes with Rocco's. Chat. Go ahead and post in chat.
How are we tripping, Charlie? Or do you mean chat?
Chat looks like they're giving him a little bit less than Rocco.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like it's about 26 minutes per game is what I'm seeing for chat. Alrighty, now. Gave 26 minutes per game for Larry Nance Jr. for chat. Alright, now, Anthony Simons, chat. Answer this. Eric, how many minutes per game for Anthony Simons?
No Nurk.
We're not doing centers. We're just doing 1 through 4.
Okay.
We can do centers next.
I'm gonna let chat go first because, like Daniel said, I think we're influencing them a little.
Trevin's saying 12 because he's a Nasir Little stan. That's why. I feel like 22, 23 is kind of what I'm seeing. Maybe 22. Just like visually average it all out.
Yeah, I was gonna say like 24, but that might be a little high. But if we start the 3 guards, I think
I'm just saying 20. Yeah, 22 for chat. You would play him 24?
Yeah.
Okay, I would play him 25.
I was looking up. He played 17.3 minutes on average last year.
Yeah,
That's lower than I would have guessed.
Yeah, it seemed like he played a bigger role. Okay, so let's do Nurkic. Well, I'll let chat answer first. We'll do Nurkic and Zeller. This is definitely going to be the top 8 in the rotation, with presumably Simons, Nance, and Zeller coming off the bench. Chat, let me know how much you would play Nurkic. And you too, Eric.
Yeah, I would go with 29 Nurkic, 19 Zeller.
Yes, I am also down with 29-19 for those two. Chat,
I don't think we want him to play 32 like some are suggesting. That's a little much for him, I think. Although, I will say, please let this be true, but all the pictures and stuff I've seen of Nurk, he looks like he's in shape. If he comes into training camp this year ready to go instead of, a little out of shape or needing some conditioning and stuff like that, that bodes very well for him this season.
Yep, it looks like chat eyeball average. Looks like they're going 30.
Yeah, 30-18.
Yeah, and then you guys playing Zeller the final 18 minutes at center, or are you playing him less than that? I assume they're going to go... I'm just going to put down 18 for Zeller for them. Okay. So, let me go through this. Hold on here. B10. All right, so there is... Let's see. Sorry, I'm doing math, chat. Be proud of me. So, my lineup has 10 minutes left over outside of the top 8. Eric, your lineup has 13 minutes left over outside of the top 8. Chat, your lineup has 18 left over outside of the top 8. So that would presumably be for the backup 3. Are you comfortable with that? And then you're playing Nas the final 13 minutes? Or are you cutting somebody's minutes?
I mean, I never like to have a set rotation, so I would just
things will fluctuate for sure, but
a game by game basis. Like I said, if you can cut some of the starters' minutes but still win games and still be fine when they're on the bench, that'd be a very nice luxury to have finally.
Yeah, but the only teams that are really only able to do that are like contenders. Mm-hmm. So the only way we're gonna be able to do that is if we're contenders, like top 3 team in the West. So, maybe. Every one injury changes all of this. It's just looking at the lineup and I don't know, hearing that and seeing people say McLemore is going to be the backup 2 and Snell's the backup 3 and Simon's the backup point guard, and it's I feel like we have a really good top 8. Mm-hmm. Okay, 6th, 7th, 8th man off the bench are better than last year, in my opinion, because Simons will be better, and Zeller and Nance are better than Canner and Mello, especially on the defensive end. Offensively, I think they're actually comparable. They're, Zeller and Zeller's a better passer than Nurkic. Nurkic's a little better offensive rebounder, finisher. Nance is a better passer than Melo. Melo's a little better three-point shooter. But Nance isn't somebody that's going to shoot a bunch of inefficient mid-range shots in ISO like crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I think 6 through 8 is better than last year. So, like, just eyeballing these players and giving them the minutes that I think they deserve. The ninth guy, I mean, I only had 10 minutes left over for the ninth guy. And I would be down to, and that was giving Covington 29 and Nance 29, I'd be down to give both those guys 30. Like, I'd be down to give Powell 32. I only gave him 31. So that's the thing. Like, I think this ends up near the end of the year being only an 8-man rotation if this is what the roster is and if we're healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Powell played 34.4 minutes once he got traded here.
Did he?
Yeah, in the regular season at least. We went to that 8-man rotation for a while, and then, yeah.
I mean, if I give Dame, CJ, and Powell the minutes they played for us last year, there's only 4 minutes left over. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. I mean, it's a good problem to have. It's just, I don't know, that Fentress article talking about, like, oh yeah, they got Mclemore to be the 2 and Snell to be the 3 to play next to Simons running the backup point guard. I'm just like, how do you have minutes for that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's basically what I was trying to show with this exercise, too.
I mean, one good thing about the 3-guard thing is I think you could get away finally with some load management throughout the season that you might not have been able to.
Yeah.
Once again, we'd have to, get off to a good start and have a good record to do that. But that might be a way to get some players minutes, is just to have Dame sit out an occasional game and get some rest or whatever.
It's just, I just don't know how the plan is to consistently play Mclemore and Snell.
Yeah.
And then it's like Nas doesn't get a chance when he should. It's just, I don't know. See that, and it just comes back to, I have no idea how Chauncey is going to manage all this. And I assume he's going to be more, I assume he's going to fluctuate his lineup more than Stotts did. Stotts was very rigid when it came to everything. So I feel like, one night Nas will get a chance. One night Greg Brown the third might even get a chance. Just on a night in, night out basis, I don't know how you plan to play Mclemore. And I would plan to play Nas instead of Snell at this point. So
yeah, I agree.
So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, the only thing you would do is maybe cut a few minutes from Nurk and Zeller, and have either Nance or Rocco play some small ball 5, and then you save a few minutes there. But yeah.
I don't know. See, like, here's the thing. If Cantor was our backup center, I'd be like, you know what? Cantor shouldn't play, and Rocco/Nance should be our backup center.
Well, you were saying that before last season. We all knew that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, but, like, I'm confident in Zeller. Like, Zeller is a above-average defensive player who can pass the ball and who can finish. He shoots, like, 1-3 a game. It doesn't shoot him well, but his form looks really good to me, so I don't know why he hasn't been able to connect. But he's just a very solid player who fits really well and who isn't a defensive liability like Cantor is. So he deserves minutes. Maybe it comes in a situation in the playoffs where he ends up out of the lineup if we're going against a small team, and that's kind of what I want to talk about to wrap up this show, is like various lineup combinations. So maybe he gets his minutes cut in the playoffs and we play more small, and maybe Nas gets more minutes that way, or that's how you can account for giving Dame, CJ, and Powell more minutes, is you cut Zellers and play Nance or Rocco at the backup 5. So playoffs are kind of a different animal. Just going into next season, it's going to be interesting to see how Chauncey kind of divvies up minutes at the start of the season, because it's not like he's going to have a bunch of easy teams to figure out how he wants to divvy up minutes. And it's not like there's going to be a lot of garbage time when you look at who are playing the first 25 games of the season.
Just a side note for that, another thing from that article is Billups is very high on Zeller. Not quite as high as he is on Nurkic, but I don't think Zeller is going to be the person who has his minutes cut if he is used the way that Billups seems to think he's going to be used.
Yep. Eric Olson, yes, he did start in Charlotte. He's one of the best backup big men in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I would put him over Canner. Like, he's an upgrade over Canner. Because he can do a lot of the things that Canner can do offensively. People will be like, oh, we're going to miss Canner's rebounding. Zeller gets, I think, like, per 36 minutes, it was Canner got 5.8 offensive rebounds, which is phenomenal and, like, best in the league. But Zeller got 4.3 offensive rebounds per 36 minutes, which is still really, really good. So that's the thing. Like, that's really the only area where I see Canner having a clear-cut advantage, but Zeller is still good in that regard. And here's the thing. A lot of the stuff we run through Nurkic, we'll probably be able to run through Zeller as well, because Zeller is a good enough passer to be able to handle that. And then if we play some small ball and put Nance at the 5, Nance can also make a lot of the passes that Nurkic can make. So, I mean, we got 3 of our 4 big men are above average playmakers for their position, above average passers for their position. The only one who isn't is Robert Covington, who's just like your prototypical 3-and-D guy.
Yeah, you're right. 4.3 for Zeller per 36, 5.8 for Cantor. So yeah, not too far.
Look at that. Look at that, chat.
But I don't know if you saw, but Rocco, his point of emphasis this summer is creating off the dribble.
Yeah.
He's trying to become more of a ball handler.
See, like, that's fine if it's in the right situation. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, if it was Terry Stotts, I'm like, great, Rocco's going to be playing some iso ball because of Stotts' fence. But, like, under Chauncey Billups, I think it will be a situation where, like, Rocco, if he gets run off the three-point line, is trying to get better at, like, making the right things happen when he gets ran off the line. Mm-hmm. Instead of just like, oh, he's guarded, kick to the next guy, and then CJ has to go one-on-one or Dame has to go one-on-one. Whereas maybe if he's a little bit better at attacking closeouts, then he's able to drive the lane and draw help and then kick to those guys, and those guys might have a semi-open 3 instead of catching the ball guarded and having to make something happen. So I'm cool with that. I'm cool with him working on that, because it's like the three-point shot is there. Career year last year shooting the three-point ball. Defense, I mean, he's a great defensive player. Like, the one thing for him to work on pretty much is off the dribble stuff. Yeah. Right? Like, so I'm cool with that.
I'd also like him to maybe slash a little more and just not try to windmill dunk it.
doesn't that kind of go hand in hand?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then, like, here's the thing. Like, if we're going to run more, it'd be nice if he could push the ball in transition.
Right.
Which like, he can. It just be, you know, if he's a little bit more comfortable pushing the ball, then, I mean, you have Dame, CJ, Norm, Nurkic as a trailer. If Nurkic's three-point shot can continue to come along, Nurkic shoots pretty good from the top of the arc. It seems like that's kind of his most comfortable spot, and he did shoot 40% from 3 last year. That could be a really good team in transition if Rocco's a guy who can just kind of like grab and go. Or he causes so many deflections that a lot of times he ends up with the ball with a transition opportunity because he deflected a pass, stole a pass, picked somebody's pocket, and now he has the ball with a numbers opportunity. So working on that is a good decision for him.
Yep. I really like... I mean, having one that's just like a spot-up shooter is fine, but I really like that now we have 3 out of our 4 bigs that you can run offense through, and you can, you know, we heard that all last year. Oh, we can't run certain plays because we don't have people who can make a simple pass. It's so dumb, but like now we have players who can make any kind of pass. Hopefully that leads to a more open and free-flowing offense.
Yep. Shout JM1231, $5 donut, says, awesome stream, fellas. Great entertainment while studying. Hope you guys are doing well and staying safe. I hope you're doing well too, man. I hope the studying is going well. Appreciate the dono, JM. Appreciate it. What were you going to say? Go ahead.
I said apparently you missed Jalen Suggs in town today.
In Portland?
Yeah, he was at the
I saw somebody say
Adidas outlet store, and then also Chris's cousin saw him at some restaurant or something.
Bro, Dude, that would be my profile pick for like a decade if I got a pick with my guy. That's my guy. That's my favorite non-Blazer now.
Your other guy, Chet.
Yeah.
Someone posted a picture of him, not with him, but like of him at some place at 6 in the morning with the location. He's like, dude, ask me to take a pic, but don't give my location to the entire internet.
Yeah, that's bad. That's because he's the number one prospect in the country. Well, I guess it might be Monty Bates now, but I mean that dude has a bit of a following and has had a bit of a following for a while now. So I would be annoyed if I were him. College basketball is going to be fun this year. We might have to dedicate like 5 minutes every Blazers Uprise Live to just talk a little bit about college basketball and prospects and stuff. Yeah. I'm going to try and dive in a little heavier into college basketball this year than last year, but my Gonzaga Bulldogs better win it all. That's all I'm going to say. Going into another season, number one in the country with the number one prospect. But yeah, Suggs is my guy. Suggs is my favorite non-Blazer now at this point.
I really hope you're not cursed.
Dude, I might be.
Because
like I'm 0 for 4 in champion. I'm 0 for 4 in championships. I'm 0 for 4 in championships, man. So, and then like another one of my teams is the Seattle freaking Mariners, who like since I've followed them are like 0 and 15 on making the playoffs. And then the Blazers. So yeah, it's Blazers, Gonzaga, 49ers, Mariners. It's not a fun time, but I mean, honestly though, this year, like outside of Seattle, like Blazers, I think are going to be good. Niners, I think are going to be good. Should be good. Trey Lance is exciting, and then Gonzaga is going into the season number 1 overall. So it's not like I don't have good teams. I just want a championship. That's all I want. Just to get that monkey off my back, because I feel like once I get one, then I'll get like 4, and the Blazers will get 1. So you guys should be rooting for Gonzaga next year for me, so that our Blazers can win. That's how it works. So anyway, lineup combinations. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about lineup combinations. I'm really intrigued by like a Dame, Norm, Rocco, Nance Jr., Nurkic lineup. Like a big lineup. I'm curious to see how that lineup would do defensively. Offensively, you have 2 playmaking bigs there. You have 2 really good 3-point shooters, and I feel like Norm is just kind of like the secondary creator, especially playing off 2 playmaking bigs would be good, would be fine. What are your thoughts on that lineup? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I really hope. I just want to see like different lineups, like not. Oh, here comes the bench unit. Here's these 3 players always have to play together, and I want to see a little more mixing of the lineups, especially with the 3 guards. Everyone just focuses on that, but you don't have to play them all together all the time. So I want to see more Dame and Norm together. They seem to. Stotts seemed to keep CJ and Norm together for the most part last year, but I want to see, like Eric Olson points out, just experiment with lineups. So, yeah, I do want to see that lineup, mostly because as many lineups we see with good players in it without CJ gives us a better look at what could possibly happen if we did move him. And if those lineups are killing it, efficiency-wise, it might look like trading CJ would be a better option towards the trade deadline, and I'm all for that.
Yeah, I'd also be intrigued, like, Ant instead of Dame in that lineup would be interesting.
Right.
And then you literally put, like, all the half-court playmaking duties on the 4 and the 5-man with Nance and Nurkic, and you have Ant off the ball. You have Norm off the ball, both great athletes who can shoot the ball. That could be something that's intriguing as well. You maybe even throw Nas in there at the 3. Like, that would be fun. Now, how this works with minutes and whatnot, I don't know, but I'm just kind of throwing lineups out there. That's kind of like the big lineup where you have Rocco and Nance at the 3-4, Nurkic at the 5, and then just throw any 2 of the 3 guards in there in the backcourt. And that, I think, is intriguing. And that's a lineup I think we will see, especially to finish games. Like, here's the thing. And this is another reason why I like this Nance trade. If one of Dame, CJ, or Norman Powell is out, that's your closing lineup. Two of those three guys, whichever ones we have, Rocco at the 3, Nance at the 4, Nurkic at the 5.
Yeah.
And that's a better defensive front court, in my opinion, 3-4-5, than Nurkic pre-injury next to Aminu and Harkless.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
And Rocco's a better shooter than both those guys. Nance is a similar caliber shooter, maybe a better shooter than both those guys if he continues to incrementally improve.
Either
and
then
he has
playmaking Nance has, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that's like even with Damon and CJ on the court, that front court is so much better than Harkless, Aminu, Nurkic, having Nance Jr. and Rocco in there instead. So that's the thing. Like, if CJ goes down again, honestly, like, he helps us win games, but it's like we have the pieces, and I think we have the coach who's not going to make excuses, and we should have the system where, like, we could absorb a loss like that. Or if Norm goes down. That's a Dame and CJ with a better front court than they had when they made a run to the Western Conference Finals. Even if Dame's out, like CJ, Norm, Rocco, Nance Jr., and Nurkic is a playoff caliber starting lineup still, in my opinion. Like lower end of the playoffs, but that's still a really, really good lineup. Especially seeing how CJ plays without Dame. Like that would still be a team that could beat anybody. Yeah. So that's the thing. Like we can absorb an injury to one of our top 6 guys and just be fine. With our top... Go ahead.
I'm so used to thoughts because, like, I was thinking if one of those guys goes down, he's going to start Snell and keep the bench unit the same, you know, but we don't have to worry about that same thing anymore. Like, we can actually mix it up and do different things.
Yeah, exactly.
And but I think that's why they did get Snell, is because he's pretty plug and play in any lineup. So if someone does go down, you feel comfortable with him getting minutes, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I like that lineup, and I think that would be your closing lineup, and your closing lineup is maybe more important than your starting lineup. So, and that's the thing. That's what's nice about having Zeller too, is like you can take your backup playmaking 4 in Nance and put him into the starting lineup, and you still have a passing 5 off the bench. You still have a 5 that can pass. So that's the thing, is we have enough playmaking. Like, I don't know. Like I wanted Siakam because he's a playmaking 4. I like the passing ability we have in the front court. Now, small ball lineup. Eric, Rocco and Nance at the 4 and 5.
Yep.
Who would be your 3 preferred guys next to those 2 in a small ball lineup?
Well, I would love to see Dame, Ant, Norm. But yeah, I recognize that probably won't happen as much as the CJ instead of Ant. But
yeah, I mean that's the thing, is like if Nurkic has had his injury issues and Zeller has had his injury issues, that's what's nice about getting Nance, is I think he can play. Like he's big enough to play some backup 5. He has a 9-foot standing reach. Just
the versatility of having him instead of a Derrick Jones, because there's so much. I mean, Derrick Jones can play multiple positions, but it's just like, I don't know. All these lineups I feel so much better about.
Yeah. And you liked Derrick Jones going into the season. But yeah, Nance with a 9-foot standing reach. The average for a center is like 9'1", 9'2". So he's slightly undersized, but
he's only like 6'7", Torrey.
What's funny is like he measured 6'7.5" without shoes. So like 6'8".
Yeah.
I mean, that's without shoes, right? I feel like some people haven't caught up to like, oh, they're measuring without shoes. With shoes, he's 6'9".
Right.
And standing reach matters more than where the top of your head finishes. Like, if your skull is an inch taller, you're an inch taller, but that doesn't do anything for you on the basketball court. If your neck's longer, you might end up being an inch taller, but that's not going to do anything for you on the basketball court. That's why I look at standing reach. 9-foot standing reach is more than adequate to play center. And it's small ball center, but like it's not as small as most teams' small ball centers are.
Right.
Like, he's a big small ball center, if that makes sense. What was Robert Covington's standing reach, for comparison's sake? I'm curious.
I don't know. While you're looking that up, I just have to ask Strider why he hates everything.
Does he?
He says, I don't want to root for Tony Snell, bro. Like,
what's
why?
wrong with rooting for Tony Snell?
Who
do you have against?
Who hates Tony Snell? That's weird.
that's like the.
He's such a nondescript player. I don't know.
I know, and he just he doesn't do anything stupid. He just shoots threes at 45. What did he? 40%.
57% last year.
Or yeah, he just shoots threes and makes his free throws and plays solid defense, and doesn't do anything stupid. He's like what we wanted Kent Bazemore to be. We also wanted Kent Bazemore to play make, but that was a mistake. Yeah, I don't understand that. Robert Covington's standing reach was 8'10". Larry Nance Jr.'s standing reach is 2 inches taller than Robert Covington's was. So take that for what you may. Robert Covington can be a good rim protector. For his size, Robert Covington's a really good rim protector for being a forward with an 8'10" standing reach. And Larry Nance Jr. is very versatile defensively. So those two at the 4 and 5 are going to be fine. Sure, maybe you don't want to put Nance up against Nikola Jokic, but I would take Larry Nance Jr. up against Nikola Jokic than Ennis Cantor. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you have Rocco as a guy that could then double. Right? So, and that's the thing. If you're running a lineup like that, they're likely not going to be playing against Nikola Jokic all that much. But that's the thing. I now think we have two guys that can play center in a pinch where, if Nurkic got hurt and Zeller got hurt, I think we would start Nance at the 5.
Yeah.
And Rocco at the 4, and we'd stagger them with Rocco being the backup 5 behind Nance. I still want us to add another backup center for insurance purposes.
Right.
But, that would be a hard team to deal with if you're dealing with Larry Nance Jr. and Robert Covington at the 5, and then they're going small with a bunch of shooters. Then McLemore might be getting some minutes. He's a guy that struggled last year, but the 2 seasons prior to that shot over 40% from 3. Tony Snell was a shooter. That team would be a threat in transition. Oh my goodness. That would be an interesting team to watch. Sure, it's small, but it would be able to make up for how small it is, and it's also not as small as you might think. Mm-hmm. So I like what you said, Dame and Norm next to Rocco and Nance, because I think that's the best team to run with.
Yes.
Compared to CJ instead of Ant. I think Ant in transition is more of a threat than CJ because he's a lob target. He's a guy that if he gets space can get to the rim and throw it down on somebody, and then he can shoot the 3 ball really well. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you there.
Yep.
Shot JM1231 $5 dono, another one. He says, it is going to be so damn weird watching a Blazers game this year without every play being a pick and roll 30 feet from the basket that goes nowhere. Appreciate it, JM. That's facts. This season's going. I'm so excited for this season.
Yep.
I'm so intrigued.
And just a bit of foreshadowing here. Got some writers with some very interesting articles that will explain why we should be excited about some of the different offenses and maybe running some different things. In spite of Dame being a very good pick and roll player, there's no doubt about that. But I think his efficiency could go up in pick and rolls if we don't run it or spam it so much.
Yep. Do you want to share any of the? Do you want to tease any of the upcoming articles for the website?
Well, there's just one about how both Dame and CJ are elite spot-up shooters, and if we can use them in that way to get open shots, either coming off screens or spotting up and on kickouts, that they're both elite at that. So at least last year they were. So if that can increase, and we have all these playmakers now at the 4-5, I think there's some real potential to make this offense pretty much unstoppable.
This offensive ceiling is the best offense in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's too far-fetched if we're the best offense in the league.
Yeah.
Like, we were... What did we rank last year in the regular season? Wasn't it like third or sixth, or I forget.
I think it ended up being third after that late season.
Yeah. And that's running the offense we ran. So people are like, oh, we don't need to do anything. We were third. I think, like...
Second, according to Basketball Reference.
I think, honestly, we should be the best offense in the league next year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bold take, but we should be the best offense in the league next year. There's no way, like...
Maybe the Nets. Maybe.
The Nets, if they're healthy, but they have all their injury issues, like, the offense should improve next year. There was... Like, the offense just got carried by Damien Lillard's insane shot making, CJ McCollum's insane shot making. Norman Powell is just a really good offensive three. Mm. I mean, dude, like, this offense is elite. Especially if we make the improvements we need to. And here's the thing: the improvements to the offense won't necessarily show itself in the regular season ranking. So we might still be second, we might still be third. But guess what? In the playoffs, it sounds like we're going to be much harder to guard than if we're just running pick and rolls that they can trap Dame off of and get the ball out of his hands, or if we're just isolating against a defense that's allowed to be more physical in the playoffs, because that's what happens in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing, is like, people point to the regular season rating with our offense saying we don't need to change anything. But what was I saying? Yeah, we're rated highly offensively during the regular season, but what's going to happen in the playoffs? It's going to falter in crunch time unless Dame hits insane shot after insane shot after insane shot, which he did in Game 5. Mm-hmm. Still lost. In Game 6, we scored 20 points in the last 16 minutes against a mediocre defense. Mm-hmm. And in previous seasons, like the 5 years before this past season, we ranked like 8th, 12th, 16th in the playoffs offensively after being like higher than that in the regular season. So we generally regressed in the playoffs. So that's the thing, is we got to try and be harder to guard once playoffs roll around. I don't know where I started that tangent, but...
Yeah. I haven't seen it yet, but Shervin's in chat right now. He is also working on an article about how the offense last year was deceiving despite the rating, and how it could be potentially unlocked, similar to a Golden State jump in when they got Steve Kerr. So I'm really excited to see all this stuff pan out for the launch next week.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it, man. Like, we're really going to try and bring you guys the best written content on the Blazers that there is out there on the web. I mean, the other big site, which has been Blazers Edge, their whole angle this offseason has been to just blast Olshey constantly. You guys know we hold ourselves to a high standard in terms of how we break down the game. Eric, I can already tell, is doing a really good job working with our writers to kind of bring that to the website through, it's not us, but it's like people that we've talked basketball to, that have listened to us for a while, that know how to think the game. Like, seeing some of the work so far, some of the stuff that some writers have worked on, I'm impressed and I'm excited, and it's going to be phenomenal and it's going to be fun.
And unfortunately, Reese and I had articles that were kind of ruined by the trade.
Derrick Jones Jr. involved.
I had a Derrick Jones Jr. article, and Reese was working on an article comparing the players we lost to the players we gained. So he had to change some of it because obviously we got someone new. But,
welcome to my world. I've had to do that a couple times with videos. So
I think we're the only two that had majorly affected by the trade articles. But I still think everything else is going to be good. And I'm really looking forward to having a site to promote different kind of content and to get some of these people who want to share their knowledge about basketball. I think I've been really impressed with some of the people's ideas and passion for writing so far. So I'm really excited. And then just as a side note, because I get asked this question a lot, I am not telling anyone how to write their articles or what to say, or I don't want them to have a certain narrative that fits my narrative. If they want to write an article that completely disagrees with everything I say, I am all for that. I think the more diverse the articles are and the more opinions and stuff, I think that's a better site. And I think that's like the site you mentioned earlier. It's very like, it almost seems like you can only write for them if you hate Olshay or whatever, you know. So like I don't want to like put that on someone. Like I would never tell someone, no, you have to do this. So like for example with Reese, with the defensive stuff, like if he comes to the conclusion that our defense was better last year or whatever, like I don't know how you would come to that conclusion, but for example, like I would be interested to see like why he thought that way and like what kind of points he could make to back that up as a writer. So that's what I'm more looking for versus just, oh, it better be pro Olshay or it better be positive about the Blazers or negative or whatever. Like I don't care as long as you make good points and back them up with solid writing. So I'm actually been pleasantly surprised by how detailed some of the articles have been so far.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like I'm not like pro Olshay. You're a little bit higher on Olshay than me, but I feel like we trend more towards the middle. We're just reasonable against all the like outlandish stuff that people try and make up about him and that type of stuff. That's what I argue, and people will label me pro Olshay for that, but like I'm not strongly opinionated on Olshay. So like I like both sides of the argument in terms of just like his roster building stuff, like I can listen to and see that sort of stuff. We got a new coach. Some other stuff is obvious, like I don't see how the defense could be worse. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's kind of a situation where it's like it's good to launch it going into this season with Stott's gone, a new coach, like because I'm not super strongly opinionated on anything. Like I'm confident Chauncey's going to be a good coach, but we haven't seen it yet, so gotta wait and see and everything. And you've said that, so it's kind of a good position too in that regard. But yeah, if there's something on the website that disagrees with one of my opinions, I invite that. I embrace that. Mm-hmm. Just as long as they do a good job trying to back it up. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they make points for that. I don't want, Olshay sucks because he hasn't traded CJ yet. End of article.
Right. And then that opens us to come up with a retaliation article, and we can have a good back.
We're going to slander our writers? Is that what you're saying? We're going to retaliate today. We're setting you guys up. Yeah. Shout out IK Tricks, $2 dono. We still got Nas too, and we got one more roster spot. It'll be interesting to see who we use that final roster spot on. We have to have 14 players going into next season. We only have 13, so it might be somebody that we invite to training camp that we then sign right at the start of the regular season, or it might be somebody that we sign in the next week. We'll have to wait and see. I assume it's going to be a very minimal guy, so no stream or anything. Like if we go out and sign like DeMarcus Cousins or something, I'm not planning on going live. We'll just talk about it in the next Blazers Uprise live. I mean, unless we're bored and just want to stream for the hell of it that day. Yeah. I don't know. But not really planning on going live again. If we go out and sign like a Paul Millsap with the MLE, then we'd probably go live. But other than that, like there's really nobody noteworthy enough. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, Aldridge would probably be the exception to that.
Aldridge too, yes.
The exception of him coming back to Portland and the ramifications there. But yeah, I mostly agree with you. Short of someone that we don't know of yet being bought out, yeah, it's probably not worthy of it.
Kevin Love.
I mean, he'd be worthy of a stream just because of who he is.
Like a big name, yeah. But we'll just keep you guys posted on that, obviously.
For the record, there are still several teams who have to cut players and who have more than 15 guaranteed spots. We're sitting at 13, so it could be a situation where we're waiting on some of those teams to decide who they're keeping or who they're not, or it could be a situation where one of those teams has to trade away a guy for nothing just to get rid of him, and we could be there to scoop up the pieces or whatever.
Yep, it's all fluid, chat. Haven't said that in a while. Shout out Alvaro Bazan. $2 dono. What's up, Alvi? He says, almost our third season together as a community. Yeah, it's going to be season number 3. It's kind of crazy because I look back on some streams and videos from only a year ago, a year and a half ago, and they seem so different.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like a year and a half ago, it's like I could tell. Like I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like neither of us were as comfortable live streaming as we are now. Like obviously, the more you do it, the more confident you get, the better you get at it, etc. So it's just weird, like looking back.
We also
like,
have
wow,
that weird gap in the middle.
yeah, that weird gap. It's weird, like looking back on like just like it's only like a year and a half ago, but I feel like we've grown so much. And that's the thing is like it's gonna be season number 3. The first 2 seasons, I was just focusing on pretty much like, okay, how can I make good content and grow the community and that sort of thing. And of course, I'll still be focusing on that, but like I'm in such like a confident position with like myself as a content creator, and I feel like you're comfortable. I remember when I introduced you to talking on a camera, you know what I mean? And now you seem perfectly, used to this now and everything. Like now it's just a situation where it's like, okay, what more can we do now? Because I'm confident with the content, and I'm confident with like what we bring to the people. So now season 3, that's where the website comes in. That's where maybe a couple other things come in where we're just trying to, do a little bit more. Because last year I felt like we kind of just ran it back. This season we're trying to introduce fresh stuff. And I will continue to do that every season where I try and add something. I try and keep it fresh with you guys. Just get you guys excited about new stuff coming to the channel and whatnot. So that's the season with the website, and more frequent merch drops, and hopefully some community events. Now, I mean, I can't say now that the pandemic is winding down because it's winding back up.
Unfortunately, it's like worse.
Yeah, hopefully live events at some point this year. A watch party at some point, like in person, stuff like that. We'll look, into doing that. So yeah. Season 3 should be the best one yet, especially since, like, dude, how is our channel gonna survive, man? How is it gonna survive? Our channel was completely based on hating Stotts, Eric. Right? That was our only angle, right? That's how we got big. We hated Stotts. Now with Stotts gone, what are we ever gonna do? It's funny that some people say that.
Turns out we weren't negative like lots of people said about us. We were just being real, right?
I went on Rip City Reddit the other day and like saw like us being talked about, our channel being talked about, and some guy says, "Can't stand those guys, they're so negative." I'm like, he has not paid attention anytime recently because we're the only ones who haven't been. So we're the most optimistic platform going into next year. We're the only platform that's not completely focused on eviscerating Neil Olshey. So I mean, it's a pretty good time, and I'm super intrigued going into next season. Like I'm so hyped, chat. I don't know if you guys can tell or not. I'm so hyped because it's just going to be so much new stuff with having a new coach to this team, having a Nance Jr. as well brought into the fold, having even a Cody Zeller I think is kind of flying under the radar. It's just gonna be fun. It's gonna be cool, man. It's gonna have a lot of new stuff to talk about and new stuff to look for as Blazer fans in general.
Yep. Trevin says everyone masks their negativity as being positive towards that. There's a lot of truth to that. Yeah,
there's quite a bit of truth to that. That's really well put, Trevin. That's a good tweet for next time there's a firestorm for Neil Olshey. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, chat. We will have you covered twice a week. Going up until it's 3 times this week because Sunday we're streaming too. So, but that's football.
Sherman mentioned the Stotts post-game interviews. I'm both. It's gonna be sad not getting to have that laugh and those moments where we just get pure frustration and but at the same time, like I don't know, my heart and my brain, I don't know if I could have taken another year of having to watch those post-game conferences.
Bro,
so
you guys,
I think I would have probably broken something or myself or something. I don't know.
You guys are going to have the most positive, like, losing post-game streams. They'll be like, I like what we did tonight. The other team, they made a lot of contested threes, and, we hunted pretty good shots. We didn't just settle for threes. Like, we tried to get it inside. They defended the rim pretty well. So-and-so has to play better, but honestly, like, pretty good effort in the loss. Like, have you ever heard us say that? No, but next year, you'll probably get some streams like that. Thing is, last year was most of the time we were, like, in a loss, we were just doing something blatantly, absurdly stupid that we were frustrated with. You know what I mean? So it'll be weird for a losing post-game stream if it's like I feel like there's going to be a couple of losses this season, at least a couple where we're just like, you know what? I don't know what to be frustrated about. Like, it's just a loss. Frustrated about the loss, but we did what we were supposed to try and do, and it just didn't end up happening. You know what I mean? So, we'll see.
I mean, heck, we're known for being that way after wins, right?
Yeah.
Like,
now I'll be able to get hyped. Like, if we come out game 1, like, moving the ball, I'm going to be so hyped. Game 3, it's not going to be a situation where it's like, dude, did you see the way we moved the ball? Too bad it's probably not going to last because of who our head coach is. And, like, I can't get too excited in a game where we move the ball because, or like, oh, we ran a couple really good sets, backdoor lobs for Simons and Powell this game. Too bad we're probably not going to see them for the next 10. The thing is like, whenever I would think that, it would be true. And we wouldn't see it for another 10 games. So it was like, a lot of times the stuff I could get excited about with us doing, it's like, I couldn't because I knew it's like, oh, this is the outlier. Whereas, like, if that happens in game 1, we run some beautiful backdoor lobs for Powell and Simons, and we're moving the ball well, and we're switching up defensive schemes, and it's working, and we're playing good defense, I'll be able to be excited without thinking, oh, this is going to be an outlier. No, I'll be able to be excited like, oh, this is what Chauncey's going to bring the team this year. So, like, yeah. That'll be dope.
I think for me, it's just we were so worried about, like, right before media day, we were like, man, this sucks. Our team does not fit our coach and all that stuff. And then we heard, like, oh, it's going to be different this year, you know? And then we got kind of hyped.
And then in game 1, we started off well, and I tweeted out, Trevin just pointed this out, I tweeted out in all caps, we're not messing around this year. I was super hyped. And then, like, halfway through the game, we're down 20.
Yeah. But, I don't know. I just feel like this year, like, there's actually going to be changes if they're not working, and we won't just see the same defense all year, even though it obviously doesn't work. This is so frustrating as a fan to basically watch your coach be like, well, nothing I can do about it when your defense sucks so bad.
Yep. The intrigue level is at an all-time high going into the season, in my opinion. I mean, maybe not all-time high, but like just compared to years prior, extremely intriguing going into this year. So looking forward to it, chat.
The ultimate one of those was the Timberwolves one. They posted uppercase, lowercase, Timberwolves are going to be bad this year in quotes when they got off to like they were like a few games over 500 or something at the beginning of 2 seasons ago, and then
they had the, like, I saw people tweeting about the Timberwolves record since they tweeted that, and it was like 19-66,
something like that.
So if you guys want those stats streams, I mean, just go look at old streams, because I mean, this year I don't know. What are we gonna rage at this year, Eric? What are you gonna rage at this year?
Well, I'm hoping not to have to rage. That'd be good.
Probably the refs. The refs will mess up a game for us. Probably against the Lakers, and we can rage at the refs.
Non-goaltending.
Yeah,
we can rage against other teams.
Or we can just mock other teams as we, like, win 60 games and just mock how, like, Ben Simmons doesn't shoot and Aaron Glenn sucks.
That's not it. We're gonna mock all these fake fans who gave up on the team and who think we suck, and so
I mean some people I've seen say, don't pat yourself on the back. Bro, we come out and crush it next season running it back. I mean like, I don't know, dude. Like, I can't not just pat ourselves on the back if that happens. You know what I mean? Like, wow, we were right again. Would you look at that? And everybody hating Neil O'Shea. What are they going to say now? I don't know.
It's like, well, Stas didn't have Larry Nance.
Okay, so good job, O'Shea, for giving us Larry Nance, right? No, screw O'Shea for not giving Stas Larry Nance. You should have done it 5 years ago. Yeah, it'll be something like that, man. It will always be something. So we're looking forward to it this year, chat. Anything else you want to talk about on the stream?
Well, Alex asked real talk though. Who are you guys going to blame losses on? Well, that's the
You,
thing.
Alex.
We blame losses on who we think is responsible, and we haven't had an agenda against Dots. We just have known he's been the problem. So.
We've never looked to blame a loss on any specific thing.
Yeah.
We watch the game. Normally, things develop during the game that help us lose, and then we talk about the things that helped us lose.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically just how it goes. So it won't be any situation where it's like, oh, what are we going to talk about now that we lost? What are we going to get frustrated? No, like, we'll talk about the reasons why we lost the game. We've literally just talked about what we've seen the whole time, which makes it super, super easy to make content compared to chasing a narrative the whole entire time and then trying not to contradict what you said while chasing a specific narrative that had bias behind it. Mm-hmm. So, we lose a game. That's what I said earlier. Like, we lose a game, and it could be a situation where Chauncey did everything right, did everything he could. Maybe players didn't execute something, or maybe the other team played really well. And we'll talk about, we need to execute this better. The other team played really good defense. And here's the thing. Like, there were situations last year where it was true, but, like, that'll happen on, like, a game-in, game-out basis. And I always said control the controllables. And, like, Stotts wasn't doing a good job of controlling what was easily controllable. So, like, that's what I start with. Like, are we playing the right way? Are we playing the right style of basketball? Are we running the scheme we should be? Are we running solid sets? Okay.
And if we're not, we'll call that out still, too.
Yeah. And the answer was, like, basically always no. So then we talk about it, right? If the answer is yes to that and we still lose, then it's on to, like, okay, did the players execute well? How did the other team play? Like, that's basically the progression of things. For me, at least. So.
Yeah, I don't know if you've started to notice, but a lot of people are trying to hedge their bets by, like what Trevin's saying. Well, they could end up being good if this happens, like.
Yep.
And there's people out there that'll they'll say a little bit of everything so that no matter what, they can see like, oh, see, I said this back then, I'm right, and but they ignore or delete or try to erase all the times they said differently. Like, I never said I wanted to trade for Aaron Gordon after he ended up sucking,
Yep.
that kind of thing. So, just be careful of that with people that right now are just bashing the team, and if they completely change their tune later on.
See, like, we just need to be the number one platform for Blazers content, so we can just be like lead the way. You know what I mean? Like, lead by example. So that's the long-term goal. That's the long-term goal. Well, I think we'll get there at some point.
This is going to be a bit of a tangent, but Killer 54 mentions the Bishop Sycamore thing. Did you see that today?
Yes.
Do you want to start a basketball team?
Yeah, hell yeah. We can coach it, dude.
No,
I'll play.
Yeah,
Eric, you can't pass for a high schooler, man.
Dude,
I'm sorry. If I go clean shaven, I might be able to pass for a high schooler. I'm sorry, man. Don't want to crush your dreams, but I don't think you could pass for a high schooler, man. You would be the coach. You would be the coach. We could put together a pretty good team from like our community, though.
Yeah. How did no one fact check that?
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
For those that don't know what we're talking about, so there was a football team that actually had 2 games televised by ESPN. They were just a made-up team. It wasn't even a high school. They just made it up and then scheduled to play like big-time teams across the country. And it was like players that were in JUCO or like washed-up like older players that weren't in high school anymore.
And their head coach had like an arrest warrant for them too, like.
and they somehow got on ESPN. And they got drilled. They lost like 58-0 or something to IMG Academy. But like, how does ESPN put them on the air? That's crazy. Yeah, no, they went 0-6, but they had this whole schedule this year. They were gonna play like in like every good team from like 15 different states or whatever. It's so weird.
Let's do it.
Uprise
High School.
We gotta get Chief in on the team somehow.
Oh
We have to see if he looks young or not.
Chiefin can be our cheerleader since all he does is hype himself up. Maybe we can teach him how to hype other people up.
I know football's a little different because of the masks and stuff, or the helmets.
Yeah.
But there were some old looking dudes on it. That's funny.
I wonder what the high schoolers saw like lining up against these guys and just seeing this dude that looks 40. I mean, probably thought the same thing people thought playing against Greg Oden in high school.
Yeah, probably.
So,
well, they dominated them. So,
yeah, that's funny. Like ESPN, just go to Google.
Screwed?
Just go to Google Maps and search Bishop Sycamore. If it doesn't come up on the map, then maybe question why. Bishop Sycamore High School. Like that's all you have to do is go to Google Maps. So I don't get it. Mateo, we are streaming on Sunday at 8 p.m. That's just our fantasy football draft. I'm in a 12-person league with Eric, Jackson, who's our mod, and then Jared, who's in here a lot, who's one of my friends. We're all in it, so could get all four of us on the audio, and I'll just live stream my mock draft. Because why not? Just for fun. I did it last year, and some people enjoyed that. So this year, I'm planning on doing the same thing on Sunday for anybody who wants to watch. I might not leave it up. If you guys really want me to leave it up, I'll leave it up. It's not basketball related, so it's totally off topic, but I don't know. That's part of the reason why I made this second channel, to just randomly stream something like that. So
if we had you and me and like 3 other players our skill level, how do you think we do against high school teams?
Depends on what high school team we played.
Like obviously we're playing like national, like top teams. We probably lose.
Oh, we get crushed
in this area. I'd like our chances against everyone, but like Jefferson and
yeah. I mean, it depends on the other 3 players. Like I need guys that are able to shoot, and I need 3-and-D guys that can do something with the ball. You know what I mean? In that situation, though, because I mean, I got point guard. If they put a point guard on me, I'll go post them up. If not, I'll be able to bring the ball up the court. So.
Reese said we beat his school.
Probably. It's just weird because like my play style now is completely different than what it was in high school. But like I was good in high school, it was just completely different. Like yeah, I don't know. I've been having some good nights at rec league lately though. Been having some good nights. Carson, I'm completely lost on River now, man. I don't know anybody playing for it this year. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just reading.
We'll get some runs. I need to make I don't know. Like I can do YouTube Shorts now. I don't know if you guys have seen that on YouTube, and I finally was able to get into Blazers Uprise on my phone, which you have to have a phone to make those 60-second short videos, which don't appear on the channel. They just appear in like a different section. I don't really know how it works, but so I might have to make some shorts showcasing the bag. I don't know. But yeah, we're at an hour and a half. About to wrap up the stream, unless there's anything else you have left to say, Eric.
No, it's been a fun stream.
You gotta thank the dono.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Dro, $5 dono at the buzzer says, I am guaranteeing a Portland Trail Blazers Western Conference Finals visit. Western Conference Finals are bust in my opinion. I'm excited about this year. Olshey has made good moves this summer. I'm not going to guarantee a Western Conference Finals visit, but I mean, I'm more confident in us having playoff success than I was last year. I'm more confident in the roster because Larry Nance Jr. is a big piece, and then I'm far more. Also, Larry Nance Jr. is a big piece, but then also we won't be playing Ennis in the playoffs, so that's just a huge plus. And then we'll also be better coached. So.
I was just thinking about this the other day because, you know, everyone says like, "Oh, Olshey doesn't do anything. We just have the same team all the time." And so much to your, I can't believe it's only been a year since that happened or whatever.
Yeah.
It's only been 9 months since like the draft and the free agency of last year. So in 9 months, he's gotten Rocco, Norm, Nance. I mean, that's some significant firepower now. Zeller. I mean, I know that's not like all-star level or all NBA type players, but for once again for not trading CJ and for not making a big all-in move, that's about as good of a group of good players that you can add around Dame without it being like significant changes. So, and that's just in the last 9 months. I don't know. I think it's a bit underrated. The moves we've made.
Yeah, I want to look at this. You might hear audio play for a second, chat. The Game 5, the last game of our season last year in the bubble was August 29th. So a year and a day ago.
From yesterday, yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, it was a year ago from yesterday. So that's kind of crazy. One final thing before we head out, because I meant to ask you guys this on our on the stream that we had a couple weeks ago. This is a very random question, but post-game show thumbnails, do you guys want them to be the same format? Do you guys want slight changes, or do you guys want me to come up with a totally new template? I'm going to post a poll in chat, and you guys can vote. Eric, what do you think?
Thumbnails, I want, let's do a new template. I'm going to vote for new.
Okay. What should I, if I did a new template, what should I put in it?
I don't know. Maybe something that has like, well, I like the logos the way you do them.
Yeah. But, I've always liked the logos like that. So that's,
I don't know how. It'd probably be too hard to do it because you couldn't do it in advance, but it'd be awesome if you had like the final score or something on there, or like
I could easily put in the final score.
Or
should I put the final score in their chat?
Like the date and yeah, I don't know.
Like a picture of a player or anything, or just like different, just a different layout.
Chris says Norm versus the best player on the other team.
I'm not gonna have Chris come up with the template because it's just gonna be like 5 pictures of Norm. So this is something I meant to figure out on the stream a couple weeks ago when we were talking about like future things for the channel. Over dramatic open mouth generic clickbait thumbnail from me and Eric. We did one of those on this live channel like in the pandemic because I didn't know what to title it. So that's the only time I ever did that. I just took like a snapshot of Eric from a stream and just threw it in a thumbnail without his permission.
It's all good. I don't really care what people think about me looks-wise.
Except for when you're trying to pass as a high schooler.
Yeah, I don't know how I'd even do that.
Yeah. All right, so it looks like 31 votes out of 120 people here. I see a lot of slight changes. Vote in chat. Should I like put a picture from like the game in the thumbnail, or should I just kind of rearrange the logos and maybe put the score in it? Just let me know in chat because I gotta figure out what I'm doing for post game show thumbnails this year. Yeah.
Yeah, the one with the game though. I mean, putting the score is easy, but I'm just trying to think of.
Yeah, the game is like.
How much time it takes to go live after games and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So the game is doable. The game, I put the score in the playoff thumbnails, so I could do something based around that. But the problem is the playoff thumbnails I would need to find a picture.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'll look at something. I might try and come up with like 3 different templates and then have you guys vote. I think that's the plan for that. Anyway, anything left for you to? Anything left, Dirk?
No, thank everyone for tuning in, and it's been a fun stream. And we'll see you guys on Thursday.
Yep, appreciate you guys making us a part of your Monday night. We'll see you again on Thursday. Catch you then, and then we'll see you on Sunday. So 3 streams this week. I haven't done an outro in a while. I'm like forgetting to plug anything. So I'm not even going to plug anything. Appreciate you guys. We will see you in a couple of days. Have a good rest of your night. Until next time, as always,